Okay guys, so today I'm going to walk you through the Pangolin super farm. I'm going to explain what all this liquidity pool farming stuff is and how to use it. So let's just get right into it. So the first thing you do is go to pangolin.exchange. And when you come on here, you're going to click Launch App. And you're going to connect your wallet, your Metamask wallet, of course. Okay. Now I've got just a tiny bit of XETA and a little bit of USD coin, so I'm going to show you exactly how this works. Now I want to explain, it's a little, Pangolin's farming and liquidity pool is a little different, so I want to explain how this actually works in a way that makes sense. So go to the navigation bar and click Pool and Farm. And where it says, you could just scroll through this and find it, but where it says token name on the top, click in there and then type in XETA. Oops. If I spelled it right, that'd help. Okay, so USD coin and XETA. Now, this is the pairing that we use. Obviously, when you buy and sell, it's between USD coin and XETA. If you want to click the See Details, you can see some information in here about the underlying USD coin that's been put in, the underlying XETA token that's been put in, and all that. But let's say now you want to actually participate. What do? So the first thing is you click Add Liquidity, and I'm going to put in my max that I have, which is basically one token, one XETA token. So you have to click the max of the, so if you have more USD coin and fewer XETA, click the max XETA. Other way around, click the max USD coin, okay? Because you have to have a 50-50 pairing with this. So if you had $1,000, okay? That's $1,000, that's $500 in XETA, $500 in USD coin. It always has to be 50-50. Now, if you're doing this for the first time, you have to hit approve. Now, you can't see it because it's Metamask is popping up on my other screen, so that's why you're not seeing anything come up. Maybe I'll drag it in just so you can see it. So you have to approve both of these. So if you're doing this for the first time, you have to approve both tokens, right? You have to approve the USD coin and you have to approve the XETA, okay? And then once you do that, the next time you come in here, you will not have to do that again. So it's just a one-time sort of thing, okay? Now I'm going to confirm it on my Ledger device. And once both of these are approved, we will be able to supply. Now I will say, you know, I want you guys to make sure you fully understand what liquidity pools are and how they work. So there is something called impermanent losses, and there's also impermanent gains, which nobody talks about. But impermanent losses are when you are in a liquidity pool. So let's just use XETA for example. Let's say you put $100 worth of, well, $100 total. So $50 worth of XETA, $50 worth of USD coin, and XETA at the time is $106 on the token price. And let's say after you do that, 10 minutes later, all of a sudden now XETA is $108 or it goes down to $105. What happens? You're going to lose one of the pairings of the sides that you put in because it has to stay equal 50-50. So if you were to pull that out after that happened, you would have a loss. It's called an impermanent loss because it's almost like an unrealized loss, okay? That's like my really quick elevator pitch on what impermanent losses are, because we could literally talk for probably 20 minutes on that topic. I would advise you do a quick Google search, impermanent losses, and look up how that actually works if you want like really technical specifics. But it basically is when you go in at a token price 50-50 with both sides and the token price changes, now the sides change because it has to stay one-to-one basically with each other, okay? So once we've approved, now you can see it says supply. So we have a total of $226 that we are putting in. It's 113 on one side and basically 1.04 XETA on the other side, okay? So what equals $226. So we're gonna click supply. It's going to give us PGL. What is PGL? PGL is the Pangolin liquidity token. I'll get into that in just a moment. Share of the pool, don't worry about that. So let's go ahead and click give order. Metamask is popping up on one of my other screens, so again, that's why you're not seeing it. Go ahead and confirm that. So there's two things in Pangolin. There is the public liquidity pools. Okay, please do a search on liquidity pools. Basically, I'll just give you a quick elevator pitch again. So it's basically when you are buying or selling a token, you are either adding a token on one side or you're taking a token on the other side away inside of liquidity. Okay, we can do a whole video on liquidity, but it's essentially what you are doing is you are now providing the liquidity. That really helps the XETA protocol, because what that does is the more liquidity that goes in, the less volatile the token price. Okay, so if you have USD coin and XETA sitting around and you're just like, well, I'm waiting for something, maybe you're waiting for the HFT or you're waiting for the accelerators, or you're waiting for the private equity, you might, and this is not financial advice, but you might put it into the liquidity pool. Okay, because our price is not like it's going up to 200 and 100. It's a really tight range, right? So any kind of gains or losses are going to be really minimal, but you're helping the protocol by allowing the token price to be stronger, right, and less volatile. That means a sell order that comes in doesn't drop the price as much, the more liquidity that exists. So there's the liquidity pool in Pangolin, and then there's the farm. Let's explain what that is. So now you'll see once you actually add your liquidity, it says add to farm. Let's not do that just for a moment because I want to show you this. So let's click out of here. Now your pools may not show up right away. So you'll notice no liquidity found. Everybody's freaking out like, well, I just put my liquidity in, where is it? Pangolin's got a little bit of a lag to it. So don't like freak out if you don't see this in here right away. You could import it down here if you want to. So if I click import it, you can click on one side, XETA, and we can click on the other side, USD coin, and manage. Then all of a sudden it shows up. Now that should show up after a while anyway, but if you want it to show up immediately, that's how you do it. So from this point, you could remove all your liquidity that we just put in. If I hit remove, you'll notice that it's removing it in PGL. Let me explain that because I know some people are getting really confused with that. So anytime you deposit your tokens into a liquidity pool, you get what's called a liquidity pool token, LP token. That LP token is basically your claim ticket to your liquidity. That's how they know to tie it to your wallet, because they give you a token. That token can't be sold or anything. All it is a representation of the liquidity that you put into something, okay? So you get PGL whenever you put your USD coin and XETA into the liquidity pool, okay? So liquidity pool token, you can actually add PGL to your Metamask if you want to. You don't need to do that. It's in your wallet. It doesn't really matter. You can't sell it or really anything anyway. So it's essentially nothing more than a claim ticket. So when you remove your liquidity, you're saying how much PGL worth do I want to remove? Okay, so if you did half of the amount of PGL you have, you're basically removing 50% of your XETA and USD coin, okay? So it's a representation of what you have in the pool. So if we were to approve this, I'll click Metamask on my other screen again. On my ledger and approve that. Let's remove it real quick because I do want to show you this process. So removing liquidity, Metamask on my other screen. I apologize, it's not showing up for you guys, but it's it's there. Trust me, it's there. My ledger wants to reconnect, so give me just a quick moment and I'll prove that now. Okay. Now it should remove the liquidity. We're going to re-add it again because I do want to show you the farming aspect, but I do want to remove this as well so you can see. So you see remove 1 XETA and 113 USD coin. So now liquidity's gone. Let's do it again. Okay, do it all over again. So we're going to click all farms. There is a little bit of a lag to Pangolin's website. I know some people see just me typing. It's not XETA, excuse me. We pronounce it with a Z, but we spell it with an X. My brain's still trying to wrap around that. So you can click add right here. Okay, so once again, what I'm going to do is now it actually has not, let's see, there we go. It didn't register that I had the tokens yet. Sometimes you'd have to refresh if it didn't. Let's go ahead and click max on the XETA side because that's the less of the two. If we had fewer USD coin, then we would max it out on that side. Otherwise, I'd have to go buy, what do I have in here? 1369 worth of XETA, and then it would be, you know, basically 50-50. Supply, give order. I will click Metamask, my screen, approve on my ledger, and this will now supply this liquidity. So we supplied the liquidity, we removed it, now we're putting it back in. That's really all it is. So you also, when you are providing liquidity, you can win if you just did a liquidity, forget the farming. Every time somebody swaps in and out of XETA, you can get a percentage of those swaps. Okay, so if you're in this, it's not like, well, I'm just going to put my USD coin and XETA in just to help the protocol. No, there's the farming, which you're going to get into in a minute. But even if you didn't do the farming, you get a percentage of the swap fees, right, in XETA. So you would actually win in the longer term. But let's do this. Let's click out of this once again. Now you'll see, if we go to your pools, let's see if it's showing up. And we imported it, so now it's in there right away. We could actually add more liquidity right now if we want. You just click add. You know, if you went and bought more XETA, you click add and you just add it. But let's do the farming part. Let's talk about that. So if we go under either all farms or super farms, it doesn't matter. Find USD coin and XETA. Now that we have liquidity, will be the first thing we see. So if we click see details really quick, you can now see your liquidity. You can see how much you put in. So as the hours and the days go on, this is the screen you'd want to come to see, am I up, am I down, whatever. So write down, I would recommend, I mean, you can see this on the blockchain just for easy purposes. You can write down underline XETA, underline USD coin, that way you know kind of where you started. Let's talk about the farming. What is this farming thing? So if we click farm here, now you're seeing this screen. Let's approve. We got to click approve again. I will approve this on my Metamask, my ledger. Let me explain what this is. So this is a sort of a unique thing to Pangolin. So you remember when I said you provide liquidity in the form of USD coin and XETA, you put that into the liquidity pool and you receive a liquidity pool token. It's called PGL. It's not their PNG token, PGL. PGL can't be purchased. It can't be sold. It's just a representation of your liquidity in the pool. So the more liquidity you put in the pool, the more PGL you'll get back. Okay, it's just a representation. It's a value representation. It's like a claim ticket. That's all it is. Well, in Pangolin, they do something unique where you could take your PGL and you can redeposit that and lock it in to then receive additional rewards on top of that. So typically, the only way you would win in a liquidity pool is by being in there long enough. Hopefully, it's somewhat stable or there's some price appreciation and you make money on fees. You'll get rewarded in the XETA token. But what they also do, and to incentivize people to stay in the liquidity pool, is you can make up for any losses you have. Remember, we spoke about impermanent losses? You can make up for any potential losses by going into the farm. So you put your PGL, your claim ticket, into the farm, and by doing that you then get rewarded in XETA and PNG simultaneously at the same time. Let me show you how that works. So we're on the screen here. We went to the farming area. Now you could decide how much of your PGL you want to put in. You can see if I hit 25%, now it's $60, 50% is 120. Remember, we put 200-ish total. That's why it's showing that. 75% is 180 and 100% is 240. So we put 240 in total. You can see the APR. So the more people that go into this, the lower the APR goes, right? The fewer people, the higher the APR goes. We're working with Pangolin, by the way, to see if we can raise the APR, put some more rewards in there for you guys. But this is what it is at the moment of me recording this. So let's say we want to put all of it in there. Let's go ahead and click deposit. Now it's depositing liquidity again. I got Metamask on my other screen I will approve, as well as my ledger. My ledger's wanting to constantly reconnect today. I'm not sure why, but no worries. Let's go ahead and approve that now. And you will now put your PGL tokens into the farm. Okay, so deposited. All right, let's go back to see details again. Now that we did that, what does that look like? So this looks a little bit different. And actually, this is going to have to update. Let's click the farm button right here. So we already did this, so we need to actually, let's refresh. So Pangolin's a little bit laggy, but it's okay. It's not a problem. So now you'll notice when we refreshed, it says Your Farms. This is a new button that pops up when you're actually farming. So if you click this, that button that said Add Liquidity now says Claim. Okay, so if we click Claim, you will see now unclaimed Zeta, unclaimed PNG. So we could actually claim, what is this, 0.00039 PNG if we wanted. Now, sometimes this Zeta will say 0 because it's a little less than, it's technically less than 1, okay? It doesn't show the like long 0.000 whatever. It doesn't show that. So many times you are actually claiming Zeta, but nonetheless, you are claiming both. So if we click See Details now, you have something new on the right over here. And by the way, where it said Your Liquidity now says Your Stake, okay? So this goes into the total stake, what they call the total value locked, or the TVL. Once you deposit into the farm, it becomes TVL, okay? We can get it out after we do this, by the way. I'll show you that in a moment. But now you can see weekly income. What we did was we clicked See Details, and we scroll down on the right. Now you have a new area that shows weekly income. So based on us putting that in, we're going to earn 0.08 Zeta per week and 15 PNG per week. And anytime I want, I just come and click Claim. That's it. Now, some people would say, why would I want to do this versus building zones? Well, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. There is advantages to both. Obviously, zones, you know, they count towards the financial services, right? However, you might be at a point where you're like, you know, I got 75 or 100 zones. Maybe I build more, but maybe I'll, you know, put some into the liquidity. No fees with the liquidity. Like, you're not going to pay the monthly membership subscription nor the claim fees. So that's a little bit of an advantage, especially if you have a lot of Zeta and a lot of USD coins sitting around, okay? And I mean, the APR is still, I don't even know where we're at, 228% still, okay? So, and that's with 200K in here. So it's still at very healthy range, and we'll probably up that if we can. Certainly in the next renewal, but if not, we can do it beforehand. So if I want to hit Claim, I hit Claim PNG, and I would approve this in Metamask and my ledger. Okay. And this would then claim the PNG and any Zeta that was accumulated during that time. So rewards are claimed. Great. Now you see this button that says Remove. This is how you get your PGL out. So right now, if you were to try to go remove your liquidity, it's going to say you don't have any liquidity, and people are freaking out. Like, what happened to my tokens? Where is everything? So if you remember the process and the path we took, if you put Zeta and USD coin into the liquidity pool, you got a liquidity pool token in exchange called PGL. If you farmed, you then took your PGL and deposited it into the farm. So you no longer have PGL. So when you go look for your liquidity, it's not there because you don't have the PGL. The PGL is the claim ticket to your liquidity. Because you deposited it into the farm, you now have to pull your PGL out and then pull your liquidity out. So it's two. Let's do that. So you can see this button that says Remove right here. I'm going to click Remove. You can see here withdraw and claim. So any unclaimed PNG or Zeta or anything has to be claimed, and then you pull your PGL out. It happens at the same time. It's a twofer, if you will. So you can see liquidity. no liquidity found. That's because you don't have the PGL token. So let's click farm. We're going to withdraw and claim. Once again, you cannot see Metamask, but it's asking me to confirm in my ledger. So this will claim any PNG. I don't think we had enough time to accumulate XETA tokens, right? After a while, you would see some XETA tokens coming in, but not yet. Okay, now you could remove liquidity. Okay, so if I click this out and I didn't do that, we would have to refresh this screen because it won't update right away. So let's refresh. Now you notice your farms went away over here and it's now your pools again. Because now you have the PGL back in your wallet. Now it's like, oh, okay, you're part of the liquidity pool. You're not farming anymore. Now you're part of the liquidity pool again because you have the PGL. So we would just basically remove, just like we did in the very original step. So we would just click remove right here. And yes, I'm going to remove the maximum amount. If I were to drag this, I could click this, however much. I believe it's 25, 50, 75, 100%. I'm pretty sure that's how it's set up. We want to remove 100%, so click the last button there and click approve. It does seem that it has to be approved every time you do this, I've noticed. Not a problem, it's just a good security measure, but it's just something to keep in mind. So if we click remove, now we're removing the liquidity. We are getting rid of our PGL tokens and we're getting our XETA and our USD coin back again. Let's reconnect my ledger here and approve it. It's a little bit of a process, and they call it a super farm. It's Pangolin's take on liquidity pools. It's a lot of liquidity pools. Remember, a lot of liquidity pools, you only win if you're in for a long period of time. You can see now it says remove 1 XETA and 113 USD coin. That's it. So I have everything back on my wallet. I have no liquidity in here. I have nothing participating anymore. But a lot of liquidity pools, you have to be in for a long duration of time, and hopefully the price either goes up or it remains stable. Even if it goes up, you can lose one of the sides of the pairing. So it kind of depends on your goal. Ideally, it stays flat. Ideally, inside a really, really tight range, which is exactly what XETA is doing, by the way. So that's why I think there's a big benefit to the liquidity pools, personally. But otherwise, there's no incentive to stay in. So what Pangolin does is normally in any liquidity pool, you put your 2 tokens in, you receive a liquidity pool token. In this case, it's PGL, but it could be whatever on any liquidity pool, system. It could be anything. At that point, that's it. You really just wait, and then anytime you want, you give them your liquidity pool token back and get your tokens out, and you're good to go, and hopefully you made something. In the case of Pangolin, they allow you to take the liquidity pool token and put it back in to farm and get something else. So it's an incentive, number one, to offset any losses you have in the short term. So let's say the price does become a little more volatile. The fact that you're earning PNG and XETA makes up for it, because they figure you could sell those and make up for any losses you're having. And it actually allows you, incentivizes you to stay into the liquidity longer, as opposed to, yeah, I'm in this for a day, I'm down, I don't want to stay in. Well, you're earning PNG and XETA, so you're making up for it. That's the entire incentive behind what a super farm is. And I think it's a brilliant system. And personally, with the tight range that the XETA token is in, I think there's a big benefit to being in the liquidity pool. And not only that, for people who can't afford a full zone, maybe you can only afford a couple $100s, this might be a great way for you to actually start accumulating some XETA while you're waiting. So you might buy, this is not financial advice, this is literally just an example, $100 of XETA, and you have another 100 USD coins sitting there, and you might put it in the liquidity pool. Maybe you can't buy another XETA for a couple weeks, but now you're earning some XETA. You see what I'm saying? So now you're putting your XETA and your USD coin to work for you. And guess what? You're helping the protocol at the same time. It's a win-win. It's really, everybody wins. Pangolin wins, XETA wins, you win. So anyway, this was not a short tutorial, but a explanation to how the Pangolin Super Farm works, how liquidity pools work, briefly, impermanent losses, briefly, and the Super Farm. So Go ahead and check it out, guys. Again, you go to pangolin.exchange, check out the super farm. You want to participate, it's a great way to earn XETA tokens. Maybe you're building up to your next zone, or you want to put your XETA to work because you can't quite build your next zone yet. Great way to do it, and a great way to earn XETA in exchange for doing that and for helping the protocol as well. So take care. Until next time, God bless.